How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet, and welcome back to a brand new video, and I've got something in my eyes again. Either way, welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, we have a little bit of a theory thing that you guys wanted me to cover. This was sent to me by one of you guys on Twitter. I just can't remember who it was. I get a lot of these messages, so a lot of people send me different things, telling me, like, you know, check this out, check this out, check this out, and, you know, I'm just like, okay, let's chill for a minute, because I can't keep track of everything. But I usually take all the things you guys send to me, and I save them for later, so I can cover them at a later time when I got time to read through them and all that stuff, because sometimes there's so many of them, and sometimes I've seen you guys complain about me pushing out too many of these videos, covering, potential rumors, potential leaks, potential, theories and stuff. But if you want to send me stuff, always send me, because I will always cover it if it does hold some value. And this actually looks really interesting. So I didn't really know what it was about at first, but it was sent to me. It was actually posted a really long time ago, but I thought, why not read it? This was posted on Reddit here by E151 11 months ago, which, I mean, I don't know what it's about, but I just know that it's trying to say that the next region is going to be based on New Zealand. And I only read the kind of bolded text, which said, like, why not China, why not Spain? And I thought we'd take a look at this and actually see what it's all about. I don't really know exactly what the rest of the text is, because I haven't actually read it yet, but I thought it'd be nice to take a look at, because apparently, according to the person who sent it to me, it should hold some value. It should hold some reasoning as to why it could be potentially New Zealand. And if you guys don't remember this, in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, there is this picture on a wall in the game. There's like this picture that shows like an island, right? And to a lot of people, including myself, it looked like the UK. It really resembled the UK. Some other people are saying, oh, it's not the UK. It just looks like the island from Pokemon Quest, like the Pixel Island from the Cube Island, whatever it's called, from Pokemon Quest. That's what it looks like the most to like most people. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's a 50-50 in my eyes. But who knows? That area could also be like a different, like a flip-flop version of New Zealand. So I don't know, man, because all I know is that there was an island on that thing, and I'm not sure if it's a reference to Next Generation or whatever, but as you guys may know, usually when you have a game in Pokemon, it always kind of has some sort of hint, that like hints towards the next game in the franchise. So that potentially could be a thing. So let's read this here right now. Okay, so hello everyone. In my old account, I made a okay, no, that's the account right there, 151. I made a speculative ID post about how things might go in the next Pokemon region if it's set in China, because it was, I was on the next region is China train. Everyone else was on it, everyone else was on, then I went back to the old Spain train and made a post going on about why it will be in Spain, not China. However, I've changed my stance again. Geez, this person is flip-flopping hardcore. I know this sounds crazy, but I believe that the next region will be based in New Zealand. Now for more details. Why not China? Okay, so let's read through this. So first thing first, this person is really flip-flopping between like what they think it's going to be. Oh, it's going to be China. Oh, it's going to be Spain. Oh, it's going to be China. Oh, it's going to be Spain. You know what I mean? Either way, why not China? Yes, Yungoos is from China, and Ryuki is colored like the Chinese flag. Yeah, it's like the weird character that we saw that was in like the remade version of like Lieutenant Surge's gym, or the Vermilion City gym that was in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. But there are a number of problems with the next region being in China. I'm not saying it won't happen sometime down the road. I'm just saying probably not right now. First of all, the main reason. China is very particular with how their region is interpreted, so Game Freak is doing risky business. Currently, the Nintendo Switch is not officially in China. There are also censorship laws against skeletons, so wouldn't be so that wouldn't cause problems. So that would cause problems with Pokemon. Will certain Pokemon have to be removed? Also, China's lack of rip-off laws could also cause some problems. Also, patterns dictate that Generation 8 will have less Pokemon than Sun and Moon. So less than... Okay, I've got to say one thing here. Please, stop this. Can we just stop this with Pokemon? I'm so tired of people constantly saying, there's a pattern. I'm sorry. This is the shit that always, like, grinds my gears. There is no pattern, okay? I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to sound so rude about it, but there is no patterns. Every time people try to think there's a pattern in the Pokemon releases, it changes, and that doesn't mean there's a pattern there. The only time I can see, a quote-unquote pattern, it's only for such a short amount of time, you can't really call it that. Like, sure, yeah, it's a pattern, but, then you can't use that as a reference to future iterations where the pattern doesn't exist anymore, right? So I've seen people like, oh, if there was a remake this year, the next year, there's going to be no game because in 2015 we had no game, and the year before we had a remake, so then we're going to have a new generation and blah, 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 blah. Like, people just always make up these ideas that, like, oh, just because there's been a pattern or whatever, that's, like, actually what's going on. No, it just doesn't work that way. I always have to keep telling people this because they keep assuming that there is some sort of, like, consistent pattern. There really isn't. Like, there's an inconsistency in the releases of Pokemon. Even like if you look at the old releases, you had 2 games released in the same year. You had Pokemon Fire Red Leaf Green released in the same year as Pokemon Emerald. How is that in any sort of pattern? That's like in the same year. And then people are trying to tell me like, oh, there's a pattern here. There's a pattern, you know? This game took 3 years to make. This one took also 3 years to make. So there's a pattern there. No, it's just that games take a different amount of time to make. And they just make the games in what order, you know, works best for sales and stuff. They're, of course, releasing Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee right now. They started making Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee because they know it's going to sell. They know it's going to work. They got to go the safe path first, so that they know that, okay, we can make some money off of this, so that we can then spend more time on a better game and a bigger project, because we know we got to make something that's just gonna sell. So we, just with security reasons, so we know how many like copies we can assume we will sell in 2019. Hence why we're getting Let's Go. It's like a different game because they gotta kind of test the waters. You know what I mean? They gotta like dip their feet in the water to just see how it is. So please, no, just don't talk about patterns. Why am I stuck on patterns here? Let's continue the rest of the theory here, because I think the theory looks interesting so far, and I agree with a lot of things here. So let's continue. Also, patterns dictate that Generation 8 will have less Pokemon than Sun and Moon, so less than 83 new Pokemon. 83 as of the newest direct, and China is pretty big and varied, featuring deserts and cities and even Mount Everest. 83 would be a bit low for a region in China. However, a similar region might work. Also, Arcanine's Dex description mentions China, so will the China region literally be called China, or will Game Freak forget their Dex description? They kind of always do that. They're a little bit flip-floppy about their stuff. Either way, why not Spain? In my old post, I mentioned that Ryuki could be a flamenco performer, because red and guitars are very popular in that, in that King of Dance. In fact, guitars are the only instrument used in flamenco. There are other reasons going for it. In fact, Spain has much higher chance of being Generation 8 than China. The problem isn't cold. Spain has been known to have very sunny beaches. It is fairly warm place. According to the pattern, though, Generation 8 will have a cold theme in the region, like how Kanto was very city-based, and so was Unova. Johto was very culture-based, and so was Kalos. Hoenn was very tropical, and so was Sun and Moon. Sinnoh, on the other hand, is depicted as cold place, so we can assume that Generation 8 will have a cold theme in the region. Now, here is the thing. I don't think it's New Zealand, my buddy. If you're trying to make a pattern here as well, where like there's this kind of like consistent pattern, right? If we're taking Sinnoh and then yada yada yada, okay. I think the UK is more likely. I mean, I know New Zealand has like, you know, colder, a lot of colder places and stuff like that, but like then again, the UK is like perfect. The UK is cold. It's like Sweden. It's just cold. It's rainy. It's really grayish. Like, I've got to be honest. Like, Sweden is a really, really gray... I mean, right now it's sunny. I'm going to tell you, there's something wrong with, like, the global warming shit going on right now, because it's warm in Sweden, and it's weird. And even the UK as well. But mostly, if we go back a few years in time, right, before, like, global warming was, like, totally effing up the world, you know, if we look back then, you will notice one thing. The UK and Sweden, it's just constant rain. It's just rain. It's just rain. We got mountains, we got snow, that sort of shit. And then once in a while in the year, we have some sun. And that's very nice. So I think this is more likely to be the other stuff. But let's continue through what it's saying here. So, New Zealand, as I mentioned above, the new region has to be fairly small. And had to be cold. Well, the UK is also cold and small. New Zealand is fairly small, and it also is fairly cold. It is also, like Hawaii, completely unexpected. Last year, everyone thought Sun and Moon would be in Spain because Masuda went to Spain while promoting Oras. There are also a number of hints that this could be the case. I'll start with a weaker point, then I'll move over to the straw-grasping point. Okay, then I'll move over to the more valid points. For the first point, Game Freak likes to drop hints at the next region through various methods. Look at the Hawaii flag, then look at the New Zealand flag. Both have the Union Jack in the same place. This, however, can also be said for Australia. However, Australia is in a cold place. Well, there are places that are cold in Australia as well. You got to be fair there. According to all the Australian viewers, apparently you guys have mountains with snow there on the top. I don't know about the rest of your country, but hey, it's interesting. That said, that's why I said it's a weaker point. Now the straw-grasping point. The flag has 4 stars, and there are 4 islands on Alola. Also, Yuki said he is a star. Ignore this because it is really, really a bad point. Okay, yeah, I agree. It's a little bit far-fetched. Now for the more valid points. Passimian is a rugby monkey. Rugby is the main sport of New Zealand. This would be sort of like how Kalos had a lot of flower Pokemon, which may have hinted at Alola. This still isn't the greatest point. though. Another, the moon dial. Where is it? We know it exists because of Kalos, but we have yet to see it. Assuming it's close to the other side of the world, in comparison to Kalos, on the other side of the world of France is New Zealand. Close. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit far-fetched, but I'll take it. I could picture a bunch of NPCs going on about how there is a sundial in a region far away, or the other side of the world. So there are your points. They're a bit all over the place and very iffy. However, the main points are that there will be a small amount of Pokemon and there will be a cold region. Another point is that New Zealand and Japan have very close relations. In fact, a Japanese New Zealander is a term for someone from New Zealand who has Japanese background. Finally, according to a possible water starter pattern, possible so in the construction, I can't really explain right now, but if it comes to pass, I will. The next water starter will be a bird-like Empoleon, which is the national animal of New Zealand. The kiwi, which is a flightless bird. Oh, I love those. They're really adorable. Just like a penguin. Yeah. This sounds crazy if you're just reading this. No, it is probably not China, and Spain isn't cold for so Generation 8. Actually, Spain does have cold mountain ranges. Just saying, my friend. If you're talking about main Spain, sure, it's not cold. I agree. But they do have, like, a mountain range. Just saying, right? And if you included Portugal in that, you have even more mountain ranges. So that's a false point right there. Spain is still possible. Just saying, because they have cold places. You know what I mean? Even like Sweden, which is generally speaking, when you think of Sweden, let's be honest, when you think of Sweden, you either confuse it with like Switzerland. You always confuse Sweden with Switzerland, or, and I'm talking about the rest of the world out there, you either confuse us with Switzerland, or you always assume we're just cold and it's a bunch of Vikings or hot blonde women, right? That's how people see it. But the thing is, right, we have warmth here. Mainly rain, mainly snow, and that sort of shit. But we have a lot of warmth. Right now, we're in freaking September, and it's warm as shit. This isn't normal. This is really not normal. I mean, now it's weird, but we do have summer here as well. It gets really warm. It's really beautiful. You know, it's fantastic to be here, because it can be like, I mean, it's not on the same level as Spain in terms of warmth and beauty and beaches and stuff. But hey, it's really nice here. So I'm just saying, you know, like, just assuming that, like, oh, just because Spain is considered just, like, beautiful beaches and, you know, just warmth and warmth and warmth, doesn't mean that they don't also have mountain ranges and, like, colder areas. Also, why I think the UK is more likely, you mentioned the moon dial, right? There's a closer connection. If you're talking Kalos and stuff, there's a closer connection between the UK and Kalos in terms of the moon dial, because if the moon dial is in Kalos, they could be pointing towards the UK, a island, you know, not too far away from France. Two countries that have had a lot of connections in the past, warring in the past, and then also collaborating in the past, and also, you know, generally speaking, they have a close connection. They're really, really well, like, tied together countries. So, I mean, hey, maybe UK region is potential in the future, and maybe not now, maybe the next one will be New Zealand. I'm really not, like, feeling it. This is not enough. I'm gonna be honest, this is not enough of, like, proof to me. I need more to think that this is real, guys. But hey, I don't know, guys. Let me know. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that Generation 8 will be based on New Zealand or the UK, like I think? So let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ruffled. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.